My greedy relatives took over my late father's business, claiming, "You don't deserve a penny." My husband told me to let it go. I smiled, stayed silent, and a month later they were on their knees begging me to save them from bankruptcy. My father passed away in early spring, and the funeral was held in Charleston, South Carolina. The church was filled with family, friends, and colleagues who came to pay their respects after the service. We gathered at my Aunt Eleanor Price's house for the wake. It was there that I overheard my cousins Brandon and Samantha discussing the future of my father's construction business. "We need to act quickly," Brandon said. "If we don't take control now, she might try to claim." "Don't worry," Samantha replied. "We've got the paperwork. Ready? She won't see it. Coming." I was shocked. My father had always told me that I would inherit the business. I had worked alongside him for years, learning the ins and outs of the company. Now it seemed my own family was plotting to take it away from me. A week after the funeral, I received a letter from a lawyer representing my cousins. It stated that my father had signed over the business to them before his death, citing my lack of experience as theresin. I was devastated. I knew this wasn't true, but without evidence, there was little I could do. I confronted my husband, Ethan, about the situation. "Maybe it's best to let it go." He said, "We can start fresh somewhere else." I couldn't believe his response. This was my father's legacy, and I wasn't going to let it be stolen from me. I decided to stay silent and observe, waiting for the right moment to act. Over the next few weeks, I began collecting information and spoke to former employees, clients, and suppliers, all of whom expressed concern about the direction the company was taking under my cousin's leadership. I documented everything, building a case to prove their incompetence and deceit. We also discovered that my father had updated his will shortly before his death, leaving the business to me. However, document had mysteriously disappeared. I suspected foul play but needed concrete proof. A month later, the company was in shambles, projects were delayed, clients were pulling out, and employees were quitting. My cousins were desperate. They reached out to me begging for help. "We made a mistake," Brandon admitted. "We need you to come back and save the business." I agreed, but on one condition. They would sign over full control to me with no other options. They complied with the company back under my control, set out to restore its reputation. I rehired former employees, reached out to clients, and implemented new strategies to improve efficiency. Slowly but surely, the business began to thrive once more. My husband, seeing my determination and success, apologized for his earlier lack of support. Together, we worked to ensure the company's continued growth and honor my father's legacy. Taking the business back felt like winning a war, but peace didn't last long. 2 weeks after I signed the takeover documents, I received an anonymous envelope. Inside were copies of emails, real ones between my cousins and a shady subcontractor they'd hired. The emails showed proof of kickbacks. Brandon and Samantha had been skimming money off project budgets using fake invoices, then splitting the profits. That's why the company was falling apart. They weren't just bad at business, they were stealing. I took the papers to my lawyer. He raised his eyebrows and said, "You've got enough here to press charges." I stared at him. I just wanted my dad's company back. I didn't think it was this deep. "You're in it now," he said. "This isn't just about business, this is fraud." I confronted Brandon and Samantha at the office. I didn't yell, I just laid the documents on the conference table. Samantha looked like she'd seen a ghost. Brandon tried to talk big at first, but I could see the panic creeping into his eyes. "You wouldn't take us to court," Samantha said, her voice shaking. I stared at her. "Watch me." What they didn't know, I had already spoken to a local journalist who was to cover my dad's projects back in the day. I gave him the story off the record for now, just enough to light a fire. While I was rebuilding trust with clients, someone inside the company started messing with operations. Wrong materials ordered, employees mysteriously quitting, inspection documents getting lost. At first, I thought it was just bad luck. Then I saw the security footage. Samantha had been sneaking into the office after hours with a USB drive. She was trying to erase accounting records. I didn't fire her right away. Instead, it told her I knew everything and that she had 24 hours to fix it, or I'd go public with the emails and the footage she left. Quietly, I haven't seen her since Brandon Hestade, but he was different now. Quieter, nervous. Just when I thought things were settling down, I got a call from a man named Dominic Rivas. He ran a competing construction firm out of Savannah. He said my cousins owed him money, a lot of money they promised me. 3 contracts they paid up front. Dominic growled, "I don't care. If you took over, I want my money." I told him I had nothing to do with that deal. He didn't care. He started contacting my clients, spreading lies, said I was unstable, said the company was under investigation, said we were going under within a week. I lost 3 major contracts. I called Dominic and asked what he wanted. His voice was calm. Sell me the business, walk away, you'll get paid, or I'll make sure you lose everything. I was furious, but not surprised. I started looking into Dominic's business. History found some dirt. He'd done this before. Pushed small businesses out, scooped them up cheap, then ran them dry. This wasn't just business anymore. It was personal. Started calling every former employee, every contractor, every vendor who had ever worked with him. I pieced together a picture of how he operated. Then I called my lawyer again. Let's play hardball. I said we sent a cease and desist. We threatened a defamation suit. We shared just enough of what we found with the right people in the state licensing board. Clients slowly started coming back. Some admitted they were spooked by Theramers, but most believed in my name. In my father's name, reputation was everything in Charleston. My dad had earned his. I was earning mine 1 brick at a time, but it was exhausting. Ethan, my husband, was starting to lose patience. Again, you're always at work. You don't sleep. You don't eat. We're becoming strangers. I wanted to yell, but I didn't. I just said, I'm doing this for my father. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then he just said, I don't think he'd want this to cost you your marriage. Out of nowhere, I got a message from someone I hadn't seen since I was a teenager. My father's old business partner, Gerald Kane. He disappeared after. They had a falling out years ago. Everyone assumed he moved to Florida and never looked back. But there he was, standing in my office with a briefcase. Briefcase. Heard about what your cousins did, he said, and I heard about Dominic, your dad, and I had our differences, but I respected him. I can help you if you'll let me. I didn't trust him, but I was out of allies. What's the catch, I asked. Hez smiled. Let's just say, I still have some chips to cash in and I hate bullies. Gerald Kane was a shark, but a smart one. He knew people. Real estate developers, city inspectors, lawyers. He offered to help me negotiate contracts, navigate city politics, and rebuild my client base. But Ethan hated him. He's using you, Ethan, warned same way your cousins did. I'm not that naive anymore. I told him I've learned. But still, I wondered a few weeks. After Gerald Kane joined, we started to win back major projects. One of them was municipal contract roadwork funded by the city of Charleston. It would have kept my crews working for a year. Everything was lined up, but the night before we were supposed to sign, the city pulled the offer, no warning. No explanation. I called my contact at the city's development office. He paused for a long time before saying, there's been some concerns, check your mailbox tomorrow. The next morning, I found another unbranded envelope inside a copy of a contract forged in my name awarding one of our previous projects. Before I took over to Dominic's company, it had my digital signature, my name, my title, and never signed it. I called Gerald Kane into my office and threw the contract on the desk. Someone's trying to make it look like I'm dirty. He didn't even blink. And it worked? What do you mean? I told you, Dominic plays the long game. This isn't about money anymore. It's about reputation. I sat down shaking. If I didn't fix this, the city would blacklist me. Word spreads fast in Charleston. I'd lose everything again. And this time I might not recover. Gerald Kane made a call within an hour. He had the name of the notary who verified the signature. I drove across town myself when I showed her the contract. She frowned. I've never notarized anything for that company, she said. That's not me stamp. She gave me a statement on the spot. That night I got home late again. Ethan was already in bed facing the wall. He sat on the edge and told him everything: the forged contract, the fake notary, Dominic's plan. He didn't even look at me. I can't do this anymore, he said quietly. I love you, but I miss my wife. It felt something break inside me. I knew I hadn't been present. I knew I had put the business above everything. But I didn't have a choice. Not really. You want me to quit? I asked. He shook his head. No, I want you to remember who you were before all this. The next day, I met with a forensic document examiner to add weight to the fake contract case. While there, I got a call from my accountant. She was auditing the company's financials, just part of cleanup. You're going to want to come in. She said she showed me documents. I'd never seen. A name I didn't recognize was listed as a minority shareholder. Someone named Vivian Cross owned 8% of the business. I stared at the paper. Who the hell is that? Turns out Vivian was my dad's ex-girlfriend. From before he married my mother. She was listed as a silent investor no one knew. Not even me, and suddenly she was cashing and demanding her share. Demanding a seat. At the table, I tracked her down to a house in Mount Pleasant. Big gated, too clean, she met me on the porch with a knowing smile. "You didn't know about me," she said, sipping her sweet tea, "Hey, kept secrets." "You're not part of this company," I said. "You were never in the office, you didn't build it." "I financed the first 5 trucks," she snapped. "I kept your father afloat when no one else would touch him." She handed me a new contract, "Buy me out, or I'll vote to bring your cousins back in as partners." My blood ran cold. I stormed into the office and slammed the door behind me. Gerald Kane looked up from his laptop. "Vivian Vaugh, I said you knew about her." He didn't deny it. "She threatened to bring them back," I said. Gerald Kane leaned back, calm as ever. "Let her try what I've been, buying up shares from former employees. Quietly through a trust right now. Between you and me, we control 76%. I blinked. "You did what?" He smiled. "I told you I don't like bullies." We called a shareholder meeting. Vivian came smug and polished with her own lawyer. Brandon showed up too, thinking he was walking into his comeback when I laid out the fraud, the forged contract, the shady deals, the notary statement, the forged signature report, the city official's letter, and then finally Gerald Kane's trust. Shareholding the room went dead. Silent. Brandon looked like he'd swallowed a tack. Vivian's smile finally cracked. I leaned in and said, "This is your only chance. Walk away quietly, and I won't press charges after that meeting." Vivian vanished like smoke. She sold her 8% within a week, probably realizing she had no cards left. But she didn't go quietly. She leaked the meeting minutes to a local paper. The story broke on a Monday morning. Charleston construction queen fights back after relatives forged contracts, and Tank family business clients started calling. Most were impressed, a few backed out, afraid of more drama. I was tired, but I kept going. That same week, Ethan moved out. No fight, no shouting. Just a suitcase in the hallway and a note on the counter. "You won, but I lost you." I filed charges against Brandon: forgery, fraud, embezzlement. Could have let it go, but I didn't. I wanted justice. He had taken my father's name and dragged it through the dirt, and he was still out there pretending he was the victim. The trial took 4 days. The jury didn't even take 2 hours. Guilty. Samantha was never charged. She had disappeared weeks earlier. Rumor was she moved to Arizona and changed her last name before Brandon was sentenced. He asked to speak. He looked at me in front of the judge. "We were family," he said, shaking. "Why couldn't you just share?" I stood up, looked him dead in the eye. "You stole everything, and you still think you deserved it?" That's why the judge gave him 6 years after the trial. I called Ethan, left a message. Then another, then I stopped a month later. He sent a letter. "No return address, you were right to fight. But I couldn't live in that fight, I hope. You're happy now." I folded the letter and put it in a drawer. He was right. I had one, but at a cost. I kept the business running, hired veterans, mentored young workers. I changed the company name to include my father's full name, put his face on the wall of our new office. Clients trusted. Again, city contracts returned. We even expanded into Savannah, right into Dominic's territory. His company folded 9 months later. Turns out he had borrowed too much, made too many enemies. And when the rumors about forged contracts hit the licensing board, they pulled his permits. I didn't even need to lift a finger. Sometimes karma doesn't need help, it just needs patience. A year after it all ended, I received a small box in the mail. No return name, just a Charleston Post, Brandon. Inside was an envelope, old yellowed. Handwritten. It was from my dad. He had written it a year before he died. It must have gotten lost in the shuffle. The letter said, "If you're reading this, they probably tried to take it all from you. I'm sorry for that. I wanted you to have the business because I knew you'd protect it. Not because you needed to, but because you loved it if you lose. Everything, remember your name, matters. More than any building. But if you win, make them, remember why they should have never doubted you." I still don't sleep. Easy some nights. I still look over my shoulder sometimes. But when I drive by a finished project with my dad's name on it, I feel something steady inside me. This business isn't just mine. It's my revenge. It's my redemption. It's my reminder they said I didn't deserve a penny. Now their names are gone and mine. It's built in concrete.